test the waters. Maybe you got some bad advice from a family member or so on. We're going to learn more from Ron. But Ron Schumpert, good morning. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, you got to walk us. You got to walk me through this thing. Okay, did Nico get bad advice on trying to break his deal and re-up his deal with Tennessee? How did this all start, Ron?
Yeah, no, I think that's right, or at least in the ballpark of it. And I almost don't even go. To me, it almost goes further than advice. I think his dad, and mostly his dad, his handler coming out of high school, Cardell Landers, I think it involved a little bit too, but mostly his dad was just running the show on all this. So it feels to me, I could be off on this, but it feels to me like it was really more in Nico Iamaleava's hands than it was Nico's, and Nico was just following that advice. But I definitely think that's where it starts at. Is Nico's dad was kind of running the show, and certainly bad advice or a bad action plan from their side, I think.
Okay, so he's how many practices or meetings as this thing? When did they start engaging with Tennessee on a re-up? And as it unfolded, how many meetings or practices did he miss?
I think this has been going on for a while. I think there were some conversations back in December after Tennessee lost to Ohio State in the college football playoff, and there were rumors about him entering the transfer portal then, but he doesn't enter. Nothing ever gets done as far as a new deal, and I think things maybe went quiet for a little bit on that front, and then those conversations began again over the course of spring practice. As far as I know, up until Friday, he had not missed any practices. He had not missed any meetings. I could be off on that, but I don't believe that to be the case. And then really Thursday is where things start going sideways. Pete Nakos has to report that they're renegotiating things. Nico was at a quarterback's dinner that night at the quarterback's coach's house that they have the last day off before the spring game every single year. And it sounds like everything was pretty normal. Late Thursday night, at least out on the East Coast, late Thursday night, Nico's dad has his now infamous tweet, I think, kind of attacking Nakos and calling him all sorts of names while essentially lying through his teeth about what's going on. And then Friday, where really things just almost snowballed in the wrong direction for a possible new deal in a good partnership going forward with Tennessee and Nico. He doesn't show up to practice on Friday morning. Tennessee practices very early in the morning. It was the final practice before the spring game. He doesn't show up. Didn't tell anybody that he wasn't going to show up, but doesn't show up. No contact with Tennessee really throughout the day. And really, to me, just this Friday went on and on, and there was no contact, and obviously him not being at practice, it just seemed less and less likely as the Friday developed that he was going to be a part of Tennessee's football program moving forward.
All right, so we're visiting with Ron Schumpert, Rocky Top Insider. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. We're talking about Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava's divorce. And evidently it happened fast, according to Ron and others. So he's at the QB coach's home the night before. And then this all unravels over the course of the night. What do you think? Do you think his dad told him to sit it out? He's obviously okay. He's with his QB coach and other QBs a few hours before having dinner. How did this go south so fast?
That would be my guess, is that his dad told him. And, we were talking earlier about advice. That was the ultimate bad advice or bad decision of the whole thing. I think the court of public opinion was completely lost when he didn't show up to practice without telling anybody. And I think at that point, for a good deal of his teammates, the respect was lost, that he would not show up to practice solely as a negotiating tactic, essentially. I think at that point, Josh Heupel's hand was pretty much forced. And look, I think Nico, by that point, it never seemed to me like Tennessee was going to cave to the money that Nico was asking for. Maybe there was a middle ground they could have found. So maybe Nico was going to leave it no matter what. But when he didn't show up, I don't really see how Josh Heupel had any choice at that point. But to say they were going to move on without him. So that's, to me, that was the big, I guess, the sticking point, really when everything turned from, all right, this is a negotiation. I'm sure Tennessee doesn't like to be dealing with this. Maybe this won't get done because it does seem like there's a decent difference in size between what Nico is asking for and what Tennessee's willing to give him. But the practice being skipped felt a little bit like the point of no return. And to the original question, my guess would be that his dad told him to do that. When you factor in the fact that the night before he was at a dinner with the rest of the quarterbacks, and from what those quarterbacks said, meeting with the media after the spring game, everything seemed pretty normal. There was nothing from Nico's behavior that seemed out of the ordinary at that dinner.
Okay. All right. And I get that. I get the part of him missing and practice and them having to do something. I don't get all the pearl clutching and he's what's wrong with college. There's a lot going on here, a lot of grandstanding within our SEC college football community. Okay, were the numbers, as far from what you know, what was he getting paid? I mean, how confident are you that was it $2 million? How confident are you that was the number?
I'm confident it was between 2 and 2.5 million, but okay. I've heard different numbers in that range.
Okay, it sounds like if this would have been handled differently, he could have at least gotten a little bump. Maybe not every. What is the number that you believe that they actually wanted?
From reporting I've seen, 4 million, and I think Chris Lowe with ESPN, who is very plugged in at Tennessee and across the SEC, that's what he reported. So, no one has told me that personally, but I trust his reporting on that.
And now it looks like he may not even find a suitor that was willing to pay him. Well, we don't know. It's early. And there's a lot to open up here in the next few days. Is the portal, did it open up today or is it next week, Brian?
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay. So but the portal's always open. This is what cracks me up.
Yep.
There's tampering going on with coaches and handlers and agents and every team and so on. But, we act like this is going to be the end of the sport. But anyway, all right. So what are you hearing? Do you feel like he'll get $2 or $2.5 million on the market in the next few weeks?
I would guess so, but that's again where I'll go back to, even from not even just the Tennessee side of things. That's where I think him skipping practice was just such a bad decision, because I think that has reflected so poorly on him to other teams now, not just Tennessee. Because you're right, the negotiation, look, I'm sure Tennessee didn't love it. I'm sure people don't love that situation, but that's how this works with everybody now.
Sure.
That wasn't anything out of the ordinary. So I think his market value still would have been really high, and he would have been able to find a suitor. Where I think, and certainly entering as a quarterback in April is a lot worse time than in December, but I think what you would have had before was good teams who are entering next season with a new starting quarterback, and maybe you weren't thrilled with how things looked in spring practice, would have been willing to go out and spend a good bit of money on him. And now I'm not sure that's the case. Now I think you're going to see teams that are maybe a little bit more desperate for a quarterback be the ones going out and doing it.
Okay.
I would guess that he would still make about what he was making at Tennessee, but I don't think he's going to get anything close to the raise he was looking at.
Yeah. No. Okay. Fair enough. Who will be the Tennessee Volunteers QB now that Nico is no longer on the team?
Well, to your last point a minute ago, I imagine Josh Heupel and his staff are probably doing a whole lot of tampering in the portal right now.
Damn right they are. You're damn right they are.
My best guess. Jake Merklinger, I mean, the crazy thing is Tennessee doesn't just have 2 scholarship quarterbacks on their roster now. They have 2 quarterbacks, period. They had 3 walk-ons last year. 2 of them graduated and another one transferred. So it's literally just 2 quarterbacks. Jake Merklinger's a redshirt freshman. He came in last year, was the 3rd string, played sparingly in a couple games early in the season. And then George McIntyre from the Nashville area was a 4-star recruit that they signed back in December and enrolled before bowl practices and going through his first spring practice. So those are the two guys on campus right now. Merklinger would be the top guy, but to that reaction, my guess would be that the starting quarterback will be somebody that they land in the portal over the next month.
Yeah, so Tennessee is going to do what everybody and this isn't a shot at you, Ron. Tennessee is going to do what everybody was kind of pearl clutching about a couple of days ago. They're going to go money whip someone, either an unbelievable G5 QB and take him in the next few weeks, or someone out of conference. Because if I have this right, they can't grab anybody from an SEC school in the second portal.
Correct. Yeah, if the SEC players are going to transfer it within the conference, they have to enter the portal or be a graduate who commits to that school before February 1st. So
okay.
It'll be someone out of conference.
Okay, so they either poach from the ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10, or the G5. But and Tennessee's got plenty of money, and they've been aggressive already as far as their collective. So they won't hesitate to go out and spend two-ish, because y'all just got a taste of winning again, right? A couple of years ago with Hendon Hooker. This past year, y'all did what you need to do to get to the college football playoff. I mean, y'all aren't thinking about taking a step back, right? You're thinking about continuing this winning gravy train.
Yeah, I think so. I think, maybe there's a bit of a pivot now to, all right, just try to get through this year and be good. And look, I don't think they were national title contenders with Nico. I think their ceiling was probably about what they did last year, which is obviously a good year.
Right.
So, I think maybe there's a readjustment of, all right, things have kind of been thrown off, but yeah, I'm sure they'll be willing to spend a lot in the portal. Look, they just had $2 to $2.5 million free up off the payroll. I do wonder if the thing that could throw a little bit of a hitch in this is, to some players on the offensive side of the ball, receivers particularly, and they added an offensive lineman from Arizona who was very close to Nico. So those guys use this as a time to negotiate themselves and make more money by threatening to leave now that the quarterback situation's up in the air. I could see them having to spend a little bit more money there. But the way this has all gone down and how publicly it is, it wouldn't be any surprise to me if some of the big money boosters, they open up the billfold and are willing to spend a little bit extra money now because they want to prove a point and don't want to take a step back after how public this divorce has been.
Oh man, he is Ron Schumpert with Rocky Top Insider. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. The show is brought to you by lunch at Martin's in Livingston. Ice cold Michelob Ultra and some po' boys. Sounds good on a post Masters Monday. Okay, Ron, how much money do you think Tennessee had in their football team this past year, their college football playoff team?
This is, not information that I've been told or anything, but just from seeing some stuff and reading the tea leaves, I would guess around the 15, 16 million mark was around the payroll for the entire roster.
Okay. All right. And do you expect it'll be that much this year too, right? If not more?
Yeah, I would think so, or if not more. Yeah, the numbers never seem to go down on this, and I do a lot of the Tennessee basketball stuff, and certainly that portal is going crazy right now, and Tennessee returns 4 scholarship guys in the basketball landscape. I mean, the way the money is blown up even in the last year is crazy. I think Tennessee basketball is going to have a significantly bigger budget on next year's team compared to this past. So I don't think from a percentage standpoint it's quite as crazy in football, but what I do know, I think it's going up in that sport as well.
What do you think they'll spend for Rick Barnes in basketball? 8 to 9 million or more?
I think around the 8 million mark.
Okay.
And it could be less than that. There's one big X factor with a high school recruit, Nate Ament, who they're going after, who they have a very, from what I've heard, a very substantial offer on him. And if they don't land him, if he goes to Duke, which seems like probably still the leader right now, I think they'll end up paying less. I think there's a certain bit of they're willing to do from a financial standpoint just about whatever it takes to get him. And if they don't, I think the payroll will go down. But somewhere in the 6, and if they were to get him, I think it would be in the 8 million range.
Okay. Did you see the article in the Wall Street Journal, the dark money in Duke basketball?
I did not know.
Okay, well, so they've got this fund that they put together, a bunch of hedge fund guys and private equity and so on. And basically it's unlimited. And you kind of read the tea leaves, they're willing to spend well over, I think, 15 million in basketball. But so that's interesting that y'all are battling, because I'd love to know what they paid for their team this past year. Yeah, you're bidding against, as you know, and y'all have got plenty of money too. But you're basketball wise, you're bidding against a Duke group that I don't think they'll even check up on buying a player for $3 to $5 million.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right, and that's kind of what I've been told with this situation is
Okay.
Duke has endless money in it. The Tennessee's not going to be able to outbid Duke.
Right.
Tennessee's hope is it doesn't get pushed so high that they can't at least be close. And Tennessee's hope is that some of the relationships he has at Tennessee could win out for him. But even with all that, even with that perspective on it, I've been in the boat that I expect him to go to Duke. And while I think Tennessee's in the thick of it, I would be a little bit surprised if they get to the finish line there.
All right, let's go back to football, because you hit on something. Now, everybody's wants to get mad at Nico, the quarterback, what was quarterback at Tennessee. And I get missing Friday's practice was no go. He got some really bad advice from his dad. Interesting that he was with his teammates and his position coach the night before, and everything seemed to be fine. Can you imagine what the fan base will, because we run the numbers however we want it for our team at the time. Can you imagine if the wide receivers start to make a play for more money, how the fan base will react, Ron?
Oh, yeah, and that's almost a part of a larger deal now. I mean, Tennessee lost 4 or 5 receivers to the portal back in December. They're probably, I say, best to returning receiver a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Mike Matthews is a former 5-star. He caught 7 passes last year as a true freshman. He's probably their best, or not most productive, but they're the one they're highest on, and he announced intentions to enter the portal in December before coming back. So these guys that would potentially be leaving at the receiver position are guys that flirted with the portal back in December after Tennessee lost an abundant. I mean, they have already gone through a major overhaul at the receiver position in December. So just from a pure number standpoint, they're almost not at a spot now where they can lose anybody else.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm sure things will be, if some of these guys leave, I'm sure the fan response will be very calm and rational.
Yeah, I bet. Ron Schumpert, Vols Insider, Rocky Top Insider. He joins us on the Out of Bounds show in the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. All right, man. Is Danny White, do people love him because of everything that's going on in Tennessee athletics with Heupel and Barnes and Vitello?
Yeah, the fans, I mean, his approval rating is just, absurdly high. Heupel was obviously the only hire that he made, but football had been so bad for so long at Tennessee before that. So, and certainly they were not in a position of power when they made that hire. So for Heupel to have been good like he has, and really the way he's supported Tony Vitello, and the stadium renovations really being the big thing that was a big thing Tony wanted, and to make sure that he was happy at Tennessee and didn't leave, and certainly basketball has continued. The Barnes was there long before he was, but it's continued to do well. And the one that the jury's still out on certainly, but is really his second big hire he made was last offseason with Kim Caldwell and the Lady Vols brand, and they had a good first year, beat Connecticut, which obviously means a whole lot to Lady Vols fans, and made it to the Sweet 16, and they play a very exciting style. So it was a good first season for her, and certainly not where they want that program to be. But I think the people that care a whole lot about that have been happy with that hire, and White kind of going outside the box to take an unconventional path to the next Lady Vols head coach.
Who's the most popular Tennessee Volunteer? Is it Peyton Manning or someone else?
It's Peyton Manning, definitely number one. And I don't even really think she's a Tennessee Volunteer, but Dolly Parton probably number 2. Those are the top celebrities in East Tennessee. It's Peyton Manning and Dolly Parton.
That is fantastic. Okay, so when Peyton attends anything, I mean, it's like it's like the king is coming to town. Is that right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Though that's been a little bit of a change because, and this was, I mean, talk about fans and being rational and stuff. This is always so silly. For a long time, they had what they called I don't know if they called it the Peyton curse or the Manning curse, where Tennessee just lost so many games in a row that he came to. And my thing was like, most of these games he was coming to are football games, and he's not rolling into town to watch the football team play UTEP.
Right.
So he's going to the big games, and Tennessee didn't win a big game, won like 2 big games in a 10-year span. So yeah, no doubt he lost all the games that he was at. But he's gotten over that hump, and they've won plenty of big games. And they beat Alabama in 22 for the first time in 15 years or whatever it was. He was there. He was there in Omaha for the Game 3 of the College World Series against Texas A&M.
That's right. So, I saw him on TV. Yeah. That's right.
And he was there in Indianapolis in the building with a statue of himself outside of it when they beat Kentucky in the Sweet 16. So they've gotten past that, and it's pure celebrity. And all you hear Peyton's there. It's a real big game for Tennessee sports.
Wow, dude, this was great. Ron Schumpert, Rocky Top Insider. On the Out of Bounds show. Ron, we appreciate it, and it'll be interesting to see what quarterback y'all go out and buy in the portal.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I was joking with somebody yesterday. Just if any Power 5 quarterback enters the transfer portal this week, it'll probably be worth us writing about it because people will be interested in any name that's out there. So
I love it.
Wild times, but always entertaining. So appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, buddy. Thanks, man. The Out of Bounds Show brought to you by a Tito's Martini at Aplos in the Renaissance or Aplos in Highland Village. Our man Jackson Meadows is on a year rotation, and his one right now, the one that he's focused on the menu, is the Chicken Parmesan Gyro at Aplos in the Renaissance and Aplos in Highland Village. Hour number 3 coming up on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 9 a.m., and this ain't no kiddie show. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds.
All aboard!
As Mississippi's #1 morning show rolls on the Zone 105.9 and online at thezone1059.com.
Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN, brought to you by the Armory, Lake Harbor, in Ridgeland for all your firearms, optics, suppressors. The Armory, Lake Harbor, in Ridgeland in front of Kroger. 105.9 The Zone ESPN. A lot going on around here in that Mississippi State baseball team's trying to salvage their season. They're 5-10 after 15. But they've won 4 of 6 in conference play. Some of you are on board, some of you are not. I get it. Shouldn't have been in this situation in the first place. Ole Miss and Tennessee had an absolute battle royal in their 3-game series. Tennessee got out of there by the skin of their teeth. I don't think that made sense. But anyway, with a 10-8 victory yesterday and took 2 of 3, I think Ole Miss is in a better spot. They've won more games, bottom line. And they have a really nice schedule, too. I mean, they got South Carolina this weekend. They could sweep and be at 12 wins. Hello. So they're 9-6. And I think they've got a solid team that I don't know. Bianco said some things yesterday post-game. I mean, he knows maybe he's seeing this as a team that's, improving and has a lot more upside. We'll see. But Ole Miss lost 2 of 3 to Tennessee. Mississippi State took 2 of 3 on the road against Alabama. That's not easy. Alabama's not great, but they're a pretty damn good team. And yesterday, you held on to that 4-2 win. That had to feel good because you did what you had to do to get out of there on a Sunday and win. So I don't know, 5-10, boy, just one more game would mean all the difference in the world. Just getting one against Texas, one against LSU, or one more against Oklahoma, or one more against South Carolina. But it is what it is. You are where you are. 15 games left for both teams. They'll both play 4 times before the end of the year, which is insane. So they'll play in the Governor's Cup and then 3-game series at MSU in Starkville. And so we'll see. Bianco would love – he looks like he's good. I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere. They could collapse. I don't see it with that schedule. Even though they're not really good, they're solid-ish good. So I think he's good. I think Bianco's back. None of these ADs want to spend a lot of money on baseball because they're having to pump so much money into football and basketball. And all the other sports just hemorrhage money, as y'all know, right? I mean, men's golf, women's volleyball, you lose millions on that. So somebody text into the show on the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line earlier. He said, my nephew received $150,000 to play college golf. Okay, so I'm assuming he's telling me the truth. Okay, so I don't know if that's over multiple years or 1 year. So I'd like to know the terms. Does that mean that is that for 1 year, which is $12,000 and change a month, or is that for which would still probably be unbelievable for college golf, right? That'd be almost $40,000 a year. That's still great money for a kid, as we all know. That's $3,000 and change a month. Plus, you're getting all the other bells and whistles. But just to give you an idea, your men's golf team loses over $2 million a year. your women's golf team loses, probably over $1.5 million a year. So, and they will never, ever, ever make not $1. Women's tennis, men's tennis, y'all know the drill. So everything's driven by football and basketball. But football trumps everybody by, 1,000x. No, even more than that. I just went way low. 100,000x. Okay, thank you. And then men's basketball, which has gotten more lucrative. Fair enough. But granted, then I could run the numbers another way. It's what it takes to put together. I mean, I think State and Ole Miss are going to have to spend $7 million, maybe more. So I just want you to wrap your brain around that. Beard and Jans had 3.8-ish, million in their team this past year. Jans had a nice year. Beard had a hell of a year. Now, you're paying both of them $4.5 million apiece, plus assistant coaches, plus you're going to have $7 million in your team, maybe $8 million. So you can do the number there. We're at $15 million. So really, what are you going to net from men's basketball? Now, if you get in the tournament, win a game or two, a lot of exposure. Ole Miss got a lot of exposure over that 7-day, 8-day run of winning 2 games and then playing Michigan State. I don't know what the cut is, but it is something to think about as we run the numbers going forward. Yeah. All right. Jackson Meadows, you want to ask me what I did this weekend?
Outside of taking a nap during the Masters?
I did not take a nap. So I took a nap. Hold on. Thursday. I met a client for lunch Friday. We did the show in here, right? We had Tanner Allen in studio and Jake Manning.
Wonderful time.
We had a great time. And Jay Powell was on. So we had like a monster Friday show. We did. Jay Powell, World Series champ, was talking Hail State baseball. Tanner Allen surprised us, 2021 College Baseball Player of the Year. Jake Manning, young entrepreneur, mssmarthomes.com. You need the Sonos surround system for your home. So then I met, right after this, as you know, I met a client. Then I went to lunch. Then I went and ran an errand. And then I went home and I went to sleep.
Nice.
For an hour and a half.
Power nap.
Yep. Saturday, I went to Mudbugs.
Okay.
I grabbed some shrimp for Wendy and I. And saw a bunch of people I knew.
At Mudbugs?
It was unbelievable how many people I knew. It was so fun to visit with people. I was in no hurry. Right. I don't really have anything to do anymore. Right? No. My kids are up at MSU. They don't ever come home. Well, Ella Hall just texted me and asked me if I was coming up tomorrow. But, they are coming home for the Easter. And I'm, which is this weekend.
What?
Even though Mississippi State has a home series against Florida. Some people will enjoy Easter in Starkville, which is great. Some will, whatever. But I went to Mudbugs on Saturday, and that was awesome. And then I do need to let you know that some of my buddies in Starkville have told me don't come to another game. Because I didn't go. You remember I didn't go not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I went to Starkville because I had Wilkes Father-Son Day.
Right.
But I didn't go. And the joke is I had a great time.
Yeah, joke's on them.
Wendy and I went to Taste on Friday. I went to, did I go to Two Brothers? Or older? I can't remember where I went, but I had a good, I had Two Brothers with Wilkes at the SAE house because it was Father-Son thing. Then we went to the Landing. So I still won.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, have we got to get out of here? All right. Twitter X at Bo Bounds. And the Stella Artois caller line is 601-707-3750. I can't get to everything today. Rory McIlroy won the Masters. It was so much fun to watch. I watched it for 6 hours yesterday. Counting the post tournament, I think I knocked down about 7.5 hours. You know, it's a good time of year. We just went March Madness, which I thought was unbelievable. And then we just did the Masters. Oh, my gosh. It was all delicious. We are the Out of Bounds Show. 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Never been a better time to be a sports fan. Think about it. TV watching experience. Twitter. I mean, all of you are lost your minds on Twitter. Okay? Except Elon. And actually, he's kind of lost his mind, but in a good way. But it's never been a better time. Look, your TVs are awesome, and they're inexpensive. You can get anything. You can stream anything, whatever you're doing, and you can. Sports is mobile. It's just unbelievable. The tournament was so damn good this weekend that the fact that you had Rory McIlroy on the leaderboard after the first day with what he did on Friday and Saturday. Scheffler was hanging around. DeChambeau. Some people, and this is good for sports, right? I mean, if you're boring, if you're milquetoast, nobody gives a damn. But if you're polarizing, Rick Pitino, not Rory, DeChambeau because of the live thing, Tom Brady, whatever. You want people to have an opinion one way or another. I mean, we make up stuff on why we like and dislike people, but that's what we are. We're humans. We're totally flawed. We have no idea what the hell's going on at the end of the day. It's kind of like on this Nico Iamaleava deal. Right. I mean, it's good Lord. I mean, Tennessee's tampering right now. Oh, I'm so happy that Tennessee took a stand. They're tampering on 7 quarterbacks right now. They're tampering with a handler, with an agent, either through multiple parties to pay $2 million to $3 million to get back into the college football playoff so they're going to rip the heart out of a G5 program or a crappy or an ACC school or Big 12 school that can't play the game. And they have been tampering since Friday morning, when maybe even prior. They may have known this was I don't care, whatever. Since he missed practice Friday morning, which was not a good look for him. He got terrible advice from his father. I hate it. I wish the young man all the best. All of us at certain times in our life have made dumb decisions or not smart decisions. Okay? The pearl clutching, I think y'all know me by now. I just don't do it. The judgmental moralist, I just don't have time for. And so I can't get on board. Were there mistakes made on his side? Absolutely. Yeah. Is Tennessee the virtuous entity or whatever in this thing? Hell no, they're not. And are they tampering on multiple quarterbacks at multiple schools right now? They are offering they are money whipping another school, which they can, because they're in the top 15.
Right.
They're money whipping another school right now. Yep. So they're going to take a quarterback from if we're going to, do all this heartstring tug stuff, they could possibly ruin possibly ruin another team's season. Let's say Central Michigan. I'm just making this up. Let's say Central Michigan is going to be awesome this year,
right? Because
of a veteran QB. Done. Or let's say TCU, a Big 12 team. Kansas State's not going to be able to. Kansas, Iowa State, whoever. Baylor. I don't know what these teams have coming back. ACC teams: Wake, NC State, UVA, Vatech, Syracuse, Pitt, Boston College. One of them has some kind of dude, like the guy who transferred from Duke to North Carolina, Riley Leonard or whatever his name was last year.
That's him.
Yeah, Notre Dame just money whipped another private institution, right? One private school money whipping another private school in a sport that Duke doesn't necessarily care as much about, because they'll spend $15+ million on their basketball team through the dark money article that we read in the Wall Street Journal 2 weeks ago compared to football. My point is this: Tennessee and Josh Heupel and their collective are tampering right now.
Right here, right now.
Like this they've already made offers over the weekend to multiple quarterbacks.
Yeah, they've already tampered.
Through handlers, street agents, parents, bartenders, and whoever the hell else out there is there.
If you don't believe that's happening.
And all your players are getting tampered with too.
Right.
I would say Mississippi State's in football, but I don't think they have enough good ones. But like Ole Miss, Ole Miss had to face some players on Tennessee's baseball team this weekend that were on Ole Miss's baseball team last year. Yeah. And Vitalo and them just came in and said, we'll take them.
Yeah. You want me to give you a baseball update?
Okay.
Give you a Mangum update?
Oh, yeah. Give me our Jake Mangum update is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Did Jake get a hit yesterday?
Jake got a hit.
Good for him.
He hit again. Got a hit. Scored a run yesterday.
Oh, he scored a run?
He did.
Yes.
However, the news is doesn't stop there.
Oh?
Obviously, when he was on with us, he told us that sometimes it takes an unfortunate event for you to get the call,
right?
Such as an injury. So just to provide an injury update on Josh Lowe, the guy who got the injury and then got designated or whatnot, and Jake got to come on up. He will be out until mid-June, is what it looks like.
Mid-June?
You're looking at two-ish months here, where they don't have a reason. Sending him down is no bueno. Especially figuring there was one other guy that I told you we'd have to watch, Johnny DeLuca.
Yes.
So DeLuca is their other
Who's
guy.
related to you.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, what about DeLuca?
Injured.
He's injured too?
He's on the IL. As of like 4 days ago. So they lost two starters in the outfield.
So he may be up for another month or so.
Oh, he's in there for a month.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm so happy for him.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't 2 or 3.
Jake Mangum's my guy. So I'm happy for him. And he got a hit and scored a run yesterday?
Scored a run.
Dude, the guy, did you see the 2 catches he made at the wall over the weekend?
Who?
Now I've got all these Tampa Bay Rays guys in my feed because once you go into it, you know how it does the algorithms.
Yeah.
Well, he made 2 unbelievable defensive plays over the weekend. All he does is he's just a damn baller. He's what? Look, he's in the top 0.0001% of winners to ever come out of this state from high school up. He went to 4 Super Regionals and 2 College World Series. Say that out loud. He went to 4 Super Regionals and 2 College World Series. And he's the SEC hit king. And he won the batting title as a freshman. Yeah. What?
Looks like DeLuca's going to be out for almost a month.
Okay, so Jake's got
a heck of a chance to be sitting tight.
So he's got at least till mid-May-ish, if not June 1.
Yeah. Cash, the manager, even let them know that, yes, this is a tough deal, talking about DeLuca being designated to the IL.
Okay.
But we got Mangum and Misner.
I like that.
The little combo?
Yeah. Mangum and Misner. Sounds like a law firm in Brooklyn.
It really does.
Okay. Or maybe a CPA firm
accounting.
Like Northern Virginia. Okay. Good for Jake Mangum. Got a hit and a run, yes. He's just producing. 2 plays at the wall over the weekend in baseball.
Said he is definitely comfortable with Cam and Jake in the outfield. I like that.
Wow. Jake Mangum and Rory McIlroy and Keith Carter. It's their world. We're just living in it. Back in a second. right. Good morning. We have Steve Robertson on genespage.com, 247 Sports. We usually have Steve on for like 24 minutes. This will be a quick hit. Mississippi State wins 2 of 3 against Alabama. So they've won 4 of 6 in conference play. Steve, are you – now some people – I mentioned we were having you on. Some people said Steve will probably come on and say that Chris Lemonis needs a full extension. I think that was tongue-in-cheek. Now, you and I, people give us a hard time. I don't really care about it. You may. But bottom line, are you like more sold today than you ever have been the last couple months on this team? Or is there still a lot more wait and see and they have to do a lot more for you to buy in?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I've been bought in since the beginning, which is what made it so frustrating that they didn't get at least one from Texas and LSU, and I really feel like they should have taken that Oklahoma series. But one thing that I'll say about that, to whoever your texter or caller was, but anytime Mississippi State has to lose in order for you to be right, you're already wrong.
Boom. There you go. All right. All right, so go ahead. Are you? I mean, I don't think they're that good. But then again, the league is not as powerful, maybe as I thought. Like there is a bunch of teams. There's not a whisker's worth of difference. I don't think they have the frontline pitching. Although I was impressed with yesterday. Where are they trending enough to where you think, Bo, they can go 8-7 or 9-6 on the way out and give themselves a chance in Hoover to extend the to go to the postseason and extend Lemonis and the Crews stay in Starkville. How about that?
Well, I think the schedule is favorable. Number one, it flips for you, right? You have 5 SEC series left. 3 of those 5 are going to be at home. 2 of those 5 are going to be against the last place and next to last place team currently in the conference. And then you're going to have some coin flip series. The main thing is you absolutely cannot afford to get swept. I mean, if you're able to pick up a sweep and sweep somebody else, all of a sudden a lot of mercy is granted in that respect. But, looking back at the weekend, I thought this last week when we spoke, I think, number one, Alabama was a little bit overrated. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, they had a very weak non-conference schedule, and they rolled through that. They get into SEC play. They're a good team, not a great team. And I really felt like the bottom half of that order could be had, and that was truly the case. I mean, Justin LeBron really didn't do a whole lot. He's their best player, and I give Parker a lot of credit for that. I mean, against South Carolina, that's a really thin lineup, but you take away Ethan Petrie and Nathan Hall from them, and then you go to Alabama, and LeBron gets the one big swing on Friday in a game they got mercy ruled. But outside of that, they kept him pretty quiet. That's what your pitching coach and your staff's supposed to do. And we talked about it all year, Bo. This team has struggled to get the hit late, and you got 2 yesterday. To really put that game away. Ross Highfield, a pinch hit homer, and I said it when I saw him on deck. I said, well, this ain't going to go over well if he gets out. Lo and behold, he gets one of the biggest swings of his career. And
it was.
I thought they pushed the buttons pretty well this weekend.
Sure. All right, Steve Robertson. Nobody covers Hail State baseball like Steve. Gene's Page, 247 Sports. Why should a Mississippi State fan believe that they can go 9-6 on the way out?
Well, again, I think the schedule is a little more favorable, and and I think you made a good point too, Bo. There's not a dominant team in the league this year unless it's Texas, and you've already played them, right? You saw Arkansas, mercy rule Georgia on Friday, and then lose the last 2 games of that series, and they were number one team. I think Tennessee has kind of come back to reality a little bit too.
I agree.
I still think they're a team that's going to be phenomenal, but they lose the series to A&M. Nearly lost the series to Ole Miss, and one could make a case they probably should have. But of course, they got the big hits late to win, right? And Ole Miss didn't. But I don't think there's a team left on the schedule you look at and say that's a sure series loss. I think that the road trip to Auburn is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
And it always is. But you got to think, hey, if I can go over there and get one and hold serve at home the rest of the way, I should be in a good spot. But, winning the series at Alabama is something we expect to do. I know people take that, arrogantly or whatever, but State has dominated the series for the last decade, and even in 22 and 23, when State was as bad as we were, we still found a way to beat Alabama. And this is a better Alabama team than we've seen in recent years. So I'm not downplaying Alabama in that respect. I think when you're getting them on the upswing, I think it says a little bit about Mississippi State. I'm not going to downplay the opponent here, but anytime that you can win a series on the road, it's a big deal. When you can do it against a top 15 team, it's an even bigger deal.
All right, Florida's won 3 in a row. They're not what you mentioned Vandy, LSU. Some of these teams are not Mississippi State. They're not what they've been. So real quick, if they take 2 or 3, that's still a win. That's huge. What is the deal with Florida and O'Sullivan as they come in to start Easter weekend?
Man, it's a lot of injuries, and that, we've been through that, right? I mean, and nobody in this league is ever going to feel sorry for you, but they've been really beat up this year. I mean, they lose their starting center fielder 2 weeks into the season. I think he played 4 games. Kyle's a guy that it got down between Florida and Mississippi State. And he transferred in from Central Florida and stayed out there in Florida, but they have been absolutely ravaged with injuries on the mound and lose their second baseman. I mean, it's they swept Missouri, and people are like, "Oh, they swept last weekend." Everybody's sweeping Missouri, and to be fair to Kerry Jackson and those guys, real quickly, the one guy they had, Lunsford, they expected to be the Friday night guy, transfers to Wake. And then Pimentel, the kid they move up to be the Friday guy. As soon as they get into fall ball, he tears his UCL. So everybody's gone from the weekend, and then you didn't do hardly anything in the portal. And that's what you're having to play with. And so it's no surprise that they're 0-15. They may not win a conference game. And that's not me just being difficult. But the reality of it is when State goes to Missouri, you have to get all 3 of those games. And I think in some respects, a lot of fans are already counting those, thinking, okay, here's what we got to do in these other 4 series. But the bottom line is we talked about it last week after they had a 3-1 week and beat South Carolina. You just got to keep stacking weeks. And they went 3-1 this week. They need to go 3-1 at a minimum again this week. And all of a sudden you look up, that's 3 weeks in a row. You've won your SEC series and your midweek games. State has 4 midweek games left. They'll do no worse than 3-1. And if they can beat Ole Miss and Pearl, they'll be 4-0 in those midweeks. And so that's something, again, that kind of adds to your resume. You don't have that quad 4 loss this year. Last year, State had 4 of them.
Wow.
So the reality of it is you just got to keep stacking wins. You got to focus on 1 week at a time, but this is a week that State needs, again, to be no worse than 3-1.
All right, we'll do this again tomorrow or another day this week. I appreciate it, Steve. Thanks, man.
See you.
GenesPage.com, 247 Sports. Mississippi State, there's still a path, but a lot of work to do. They're 5-10 in conference play. They host Florida this weekend for Easter weekend. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. And we're going to go to Ron Schumpert, Rocky Top insider, to talk about the divorce between Tennessee and their quarterback, Nico Iamaleava. We welcome in Ron Schumpert with Rocky Top insider. We are going to